it's Rebecca Rogers. Welcome back to another episode of Am I the Bad Apple? If you're brand new and have never joined us before, welcome, and I'm so excited for you to be here. I'll put a little button for the playlist if you want to check out more of the series, but pretty much people send in submissions of stories where they don't know if they acted appropriately or not, and we just give our opinion. They could be a good apple, a bad apple, a crab apple, and we just let them know. If you have a story that you want to submit, you can do so at the little subreddit that I've created, Am I the Bad Apple? And without further ado, we're gonna get into this week's episode of Am I the Bad Apple? Apple number 1. Am I the bad apple for refusing to help my stepson with his homework? I think this is the first step-parent, stepchild story that hasn't had to do with private school. My story has to do with myself, my 8-year-old stepson, Kyle, my husband, and my stepson's birth mother, B. We only get to see Kyle every other week for 1 day. It's hard enough only having 1 day every 2 weeks, but recently Kyle's mother, B, has decided we need to start helping him with his schoolwork. No problem, I thought. We can handle that. Well, the first week we got Kyle's homework, it wasn't homework at all. It was a project that needed a whole diorama, an essay, etc., etc. The date the project was given was on the 1st of the month, and we got Kyle on the 23rd. The project was due the 28th. We got one single sheet of paper with a few instructions and required points, and a child who would much rather play around than do his homework. While we anticipated the emotional foot dragging, the fact that Kyle's mom had waited and specifically saved this project over the course of a month without giving us any kind of warning or anything was staggering. My husband just said this is typical of her, waiting till the last minute and all, and we should just do whatever we needed to help Kyle. I took the paper, did some Googling, and offered to look at pictures with Kyle so that we could do something fun with my full craft closet. But Kyle wanted nothing to do with it. I told my husband I can't do the entire project for him, and we need to figure out a new strategy. After a while, Kyle did the project, but it was very sparse, just like he wanted. He wanted to do the required points and nothing else. When Kyle turned in his project, he apparently didn't get a very good grade. B called me and said that she was very disappointed that due to my laziness, Kyle got a poor grade, and she couldn't believe that I didn't let him do anything on his own project. Apparently, Kyle told her that he did maybe 20% of the work, and I wouldn't let him touch anything. That wasn't how it happened at all. And my husband backed me up on that. It was like pulling teeth to get him to do any work at all. And the fact that he had a whole month to do this and we only got a couple hours wasn't fair to anybody. I told my husband that I'm not going to be helping with any future homework if this is how it was going to be for each assignment. My husband said that was a little rash of a decision, but we could talk about it next time there was a big assignment like this. However, B has decided that this is unacceptable and I'm being a horrible example of a mother for denying to help Kyle with his homework. So, am I the bad apple? Ooh. I have so many thoughts about this. So, here's my thing. I feel like the whole waiting until the night before the project is due is a very typical thing for a lot of kids. I don't feel like that's like I can't help Kyle with his homework because he waits till the last minute. I feel like that's something a lot of children do. I know I did it all the time. I remember one project that I did, I had to build an entire diorama of the Parthenon. And the night before it was due, my mom took me to all the bakery stores to find those little plastic pillars that you like put on cakes, and that's what I used for the pillars for my Parthenon. She was so mad at me. But anyways, that I feel like is a very common thing for kids. Did you guys procrastinate? Did you guys get your project done in a timely manner? Let me know which kid you were, because I feel like you were either or. I feel like a lot of the frustration that the stepmom is experiencing isn't necessarily from Kyle, it's from the stepmom. B didn't warn us about this project. B called me a bad mom. B said that she was disappointed. B said that I was lazy. None of the things that I hear that are bothering you are necessarily from Kyle. And yeah, of course, Kyle made up the excuse of, well, she didn't even let me touch the project. And of course, kids lie like that. Not saying that it's appropriate or acceptable or anything like that, but I don't feel like your anger stemmed from Kyle's little fib. I feel like it stemmed from what the stepmom said about you after. If I genuinely felt like this was well, Kyle wasn't being responsible, so I'm not gonna help him if he can't help himself, I might have a little bit of a different opinion. But I feel like right now it's
well, I don't want the mom to be saying mean things about me, so I'm not gonna help so she can't say mean things about me.
That's the vibe that I'm getting from this situation right now. And tell me if I'm wrong. Like, if you guys get a different vibe, let me know. But that's the vibe that I'm heavily getting from this story right now. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to things dealing with the kid and the mom, like the biological mom, your husband should be the one fixing that. I totally understand that there are really great families out there where the mom and the stepmom and the dad and the stepdad and all the stepkids, like, they work together as a family unit, and it's not a step-kid, step-parent relationship, it's a parent-kid relationship, and that's great. I think that's awesome for some people. That's not always the reality for everybody. That's clearly not the reality here, because it's very much feeling like step-kid and his mom are ganging up on the stepmom. And that's not a situation that anyone wants to be in, and I wish that her husband took a little bit more charge in that. So I don't know if I can really blame her for not wanting to be in that power struggle. I think I'm gonna go with crabapple on this one because the kid's 8, so I feel like, well, he told a fib about me and it got me in trouble, so I'm not helping him anymore. I feel like he's a little young to put all that on him. Again, not saying that what he did was okay or justified or anything like that, but you know, he's 8. And yeah, he put her in a bad situation with bio mom, and I totally see where she's coming from in the frustration, but I don't like how it's gonna impact the kid overall, you know? I don't think that I can really make her a bad apple because she is being put in a really unfortunate position, but I can't make her a good apple either because at the end of the day, it's the kid that's gonna suffer for it, and it's not the kid that's calling her a bad mom, and it's not the kid that, you know, she's letting the bio mom impact whether the kid is gonna get help or not, and I don't know. That one feels really hard to me. What do you think? Let me know your thoughts. That one really feels like a doozy to me. Apple number 2. Am I the bad apple for telling my boyfriend he embarrassed me? My 26 female car broke down several weeks ago. My boyfriend Nick, male 29, drives me to and from work each day, and I'm so thankful for that. However, he has this weird habit of waving me goodbye every time he drops me off at work. And I'm talking hand above the head type of waving. It didn't bother me much at first till one of my coworkers saw him and brought it up to the whole department later to laugh about it. I was livid that day. Nick came to pick me up and I didn't say anything till we got home. That's when I flipped out and told him the way he waves me goodbye like I'm some 5-year-old girl embarrasses me in front of all my coworkers. He acted confused and said he didn't get how what he was doing was wrong and it was just a nice gesture. I told him, well, then you can do a nice gesture with some other method, like a text or something. He argued that, first of all, he's doing me a favor by dropping me off and picking me up every day, using his car and driving an extra 20 minutes to get to his own work. Second of all, he said my coworkers were rude to think that this was something they would get a laugh from. And he actually said that I should be mad at them and not him. We argued some and he stopped speaking to me for the rest of the night. I feel like an idiot. I mean, I appreciate his favor and all, but to wave at me like I'm some schoolgirl, it really got my coworkers laughing at me and making fun of me for it. I don't like being the butt of their jokes. And I don't get why he's so mad. All I did was say he embarrassed me. So, am I the bad apple? Yeah. Why does him showing that little bit of affection bother you? Your poor boyfriend is doing you a favor, is making his day more crazy to get you where you need to go, and you're upset that he wants to wave bye to you? And you didn't care until your coworker said something about it, which, by the way, if your coworkers are girls, I feel like the only reason that they're making it into a joke is because deep down they wish that their boyfriends cared that much or were that cute. And if they're guys, I bet it's one of those, oh, what a simp, blah, 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 one of those things. And I bet their girlfriends wished that they cared that much. I mean, if the idea that you're in a happy, healthy relationship is laughable, you have to think how miserable they are at home. And you just let them make you hate that kind of affection and attention from your boyfriend. Why do you let them do that? Why are you not more appreciative of the cute little relationship that you have? I'm very, very confused. Like, some of my favorite things in the world when I see Avery for the first time, whether I'm with people or not, and he's, "Hey, Becky's." And I love when he calls me that. Or even when we're with people and it's time for us to go, and like he always says, "Come along, little Becky's." And that fills my heart with so much happiness. I cannot imagine genuinely being upset that he did that. And I can't imagine letting other people turn that into a bad thing. No, you're the bad apple. I mean, you got a good one, seriously. I would figure that out before he figures out that he deserves better. Apple number 3. Am I the bad apple for dancing in class? I was in homeroom class and we were learning the history of the American Revolution. The teacher said something about America winning and the country celebrating, so I thought it would be fun to do a little dance in my chair. The teacher saw me and told me to stop. I stopped moving my whole body, but I continued doing a little dance, moving my finger up and down. You know, the disco dance move. My teacher then told me to get an expectation form and continued on with her lesson. An expectation form was our punishment. It meant I had to write lines, miss out on a fun event coming up, and have my parents sign it. It was the worst. Anyways, I was really embarrassed. I remember how red my face got and how humiliated I was getting called out by the teacher in front of the whole class, just for moving my finger. I mean, yes, I was dancing at first, but after she told me to stop, I just moved my finger back and forth, and I didn't see anything wrong with that. I guess I forgot to grab the expectation form that I was supposed to get, and my mom got an email from the teacher. My mom was livid. She made me write an apology note to the teacher and grounded me for the rest of the 9 weeks. That's how long the quarter of the school year is. I don't think it was that big of a deal. I mean, I know I should have stopped moving completely, but it's not like I was still being expressive and exaggerating the dancing. I've said this enough, I know, but I'm gonna say it again. I was only moving my finger. I feel like the teacher overreacted. So, am I the bad apple? 2 obvious answers in a row. Easy. Yes. You are. You said it yourself. You busted a move in the middle of class, you started dancing, the teacher said stop, and you didn't stop. You toned it down, but you didn't stop. She said stop because you were being a distraction to the other kids. You weren't doing it as much, for sure, but you were still doing it. This is something that kids do all the time in school. You don't get it. When a teacher tells you to stop doing something and instead of stop you just tone it down, you're still doing it. And then you get in trouble and you're like, well, I don't know why I got in trouble. Because you didn't stop. You're still being a distraction. Then you didn't get the form that you were supposed to when you got in trouble, and you're all surprised that your mom got an email? 2 things in a row that you were supposed to do that you did not do. You are 100% in the wrong here, nobody else. Teacher asked you to do something, you did it halfway, you then didn't get the correct punishment form that you were supposed to have your mom sign off on, and you're surprised that she emailed the teacher. You think that she was overreacting, you didn't do anything you were supposed to do. I'll never understand the kids that literally will hear, don't do this, do it anyways. Well, I don't know why I'm in trouble. She's just targeting me. That teacher, she's just looking for a reason to get me in trouble. No. I've said this before, I'll say it again. You are not the main character in someone else's story. It is so rare for a grown adult to actually want to go out of their way to target you or your child. High school teachers have over 100 kids a semester. 99% of the time, your kid is not, I'm not saying that your kid isn't important, but is not important enough into this teacher's life where they're like, that's the one I want to target. That doesn't happen. It's not that the teacher's targeting you. It's that you or your child is not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Sorry. Apple number 4. Am I the bad apple for being a Karen at my son's school? My son always got straight A's in elementary school and middle school, but his grades slipped when he got to high school. The story was the same for every teacher. He participated in class, he got A's on all the projects and tests and essays, but he never did any of the review-style homework unless he was having trouble on that subject. However much weight teachers put in their grades for handouts and chapter reviews was lowering my son's score in each class. I'd ground him and try to stay on top of him to do his homework, but with his school schedule and my work schedule, I only saw him like 10 minutes a day when I was taking him to school in the mornings or on the weekends. My son was passing all of his classes except for world history, where he had a 60%. I set up a meeting because that just didn't make sense to me, even if my son wasn't doing his homework. Apparently in this class, the teacher made about half the grade completely dependent on homework, but not even graded homework. It was all completion grades. The kids just had to answer the chapter review questions, and if they tried it, they got the grade. From the teacher's perspective, it was so easy to get full credit on homework that there wasn't any excuse for not doing it. As easy as it was, my son is lazy and hadn't done a single one the entire semester. It also turned out that part of each test was to choose 3 out of the 5 provided prompts and answer them with a paragraph or 2. If the students had time, they could answer 1 or both of the other prompts for extra credit. My son hadn't missed a single question and answered all 5 prompts for full credit on every test. Upon hearing this, I suggested, his current grade doesn't indicate my son's understanding that he's demonstrated on all of these tests, and perhaps a C might even be more appropriate. The teacher disagreed, and we got into a heated argument because I felt like the teacher implied I was a bad parent since my son wasn't doing his homework. I ended up making a huge stink with administration, saying that a student shouldn't fail if they do well on tests and papers and just doesn't do their homework. Ultimately, administration sided with the teacher. My son was moved to study hall for the 2nd semester, and he had to repeat world history in summer school. Summer school was with a completely different teacher who didn't care if the kids didn't do homework or not, so my son easily passed that class. To this day, I still think I was right. A student shouldn't fail a class because they don't do homework. Homework should reinforce what's being taught. I don't think there was anything wrong with what I said, but I'm nervous I might have been a Karen. So, am I the bad apple? Now I'm not as upset that the first one was so difficult because the last 3 so easy, so simple. No, I'm pretty sure I said this in a previous bad apple video before. Homework should never be that large of a chunk of a kid's grade. Never. Homework should be about reinforcing material that kids struggle with. I'm a huge believer that every piece of paper, every assignment, everything that you give to students in school should have a purpose. Busy work is the dumbest thing that has ever been created. I hate it. I hate it. And that's really what this is for him. This homework is busy work because it's not helping him understand the material better because he's demonstrated he's already mastered this material. There's no reason his grade is that low. I know I've said this too, and people do not agree with me. Some do, but a lot don't, and that's okay. I'm still waiting for that good reason to change my mind, and I have not seen it yet. I've never been someone to love the gimme grades just to pass kids on. So planning the entire class around, well, if you just try the work, you get passed on, you'll have a good grade, I don't like that. That doesn't help the kids at all. It doesn't do them any favors. They could literally write Mary Had a Little Lamb, not have any idea what's going on in class, and you're like, good job, Jimmy! If they wrote Mary Had a Little Lamb on every single one of those chapter reviews, and even got half credit on all other assignments that actually mattered, they would still pass when they really only did 25%. They would still pass, and no, getting half credit on tests does not mean they've mastered material. But on the inverse, failing a kid who has clearly mastered the material, no. Now, would I given him an 100 in the class? No, because there does come some responsibility of, yeah, sometimes you have to fill out the boring paperwork because that's a part of your job, or that's a part of taxes, or it's a part of an application to something. You know, it's not all fun and games. So yeah, I do think that he should have been penalized for not doing all the assignments. And to clarify, that still doesn't mean I liked all her assignments, okay? I think he didn't need to review, so there's no reason, in my opinion, the kid shouldn't have either a low A or a high B. If if the mom's telling the truth and that he gets everything right all the time. Because that is a reflection of how much he's mastered the material. Now, is effort a part of that? Yes, and he didn't put any into the other assignment, and that's why I said high B. I don't know what their grade scale looks like. I don't know. A lot goes into those kinds of things. Sometimes it's PLT decision. That's all of the world history teachers deciding, hey, we have to have this many classwork assignments. We have to have this many homework assignments. That happens sometimes, and a lot of people don't know that. It's not always the teacher's choice. I do think kids should be held accountable for assignments they just decide not to complete, because I think effort matters, and teaching those good habits of, hey, you have to do things even if they're not super fun, I think that's important. But that doesn't mean that I think that it should impact their grade that drastically. In no world should a kid fail a class because they don't do homework. Mom's right, mom's a good apple. I'm shocked that the admin supported that teacher, but go off. All right, my votes are in. I have 1 crab apple, 2 bad apples, and 1 good apple. Those are my votes. You know I love to hear your opinions. Did you agree with me on everything? Did you not agree with me on everything? Tell me what you think. I would love to hear your answers as always. And just a reminder, if you have your own story that you want to submit, you can do so at the subreddit that I made, r/AmITheBadApple. For those of you that really like my channel, I also do the We Can't Make This Stuff Up series. I've also made a subreddit for that. It's the r/WeCan'tMakeThisStuffUp. As I start expanding that series, I'll be asking for stories and things like that on that. As always, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed these stories. And if you see more that you want me to cover on the subreddit, don't forget to upvote it and comment on it so that I can see it. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I hope on your way to work or school you see a cute puppy or kitten somewhere. That always makes people's day better. And I'll see you next time. Bye, my lovelies. Mwah.